Good evening. Welcome to Sunday Night Satsang with myself, John.
And Michelle. Hi, everyone.
Good evening. We're going to be talking tonight about the
nature of healing.
The nature of healing. The nature of healing. And I think healing is quite a high priority on the planet's agenda at the moment, and also individually for many of us in our lives, healing. So welcome. Thank you for joining us. We love being with you and setting aside an hour of our time to commune with you and to be in this sacred satsang with you on a Sunday. And we really thank you for giving up an hour of your time to be with us as well at this time, because when we come together in this way, we not only do we create a higher frequency and vibration within ourselves, but we also create a pool of energy that goes out into the world and assists with the energy of healing in the world at this time. And as we said, the world needs healing at this time. All humanity needs healing at this time.
Let us know where you're from and let us know that you're here, because otherwise we don't know who's joined us.
Yep. Let us know where you are watching from. You can see a few photographs up on top there.
Very tiny.
Very tiny. We can't really see your faces. Yeah. So say hi in the comments box. And if you have any questions or comments or anything to add to the conversation tonight, please just type them up as we go. We don't necessarily get to see them all while we are live, but we do get to them afterwards. So please type them up, and thank you for the hearts. We love getting the hearts as well.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for joining us tonight. Yeah.
You're going to bring us in.
Yes, let's start with a centering meditation, visualization, just to get us in the mood for the satsang. And we do that by connecting with the physical body. That's a very powerful portal into presence, into healing. So let's do that, shall we? Let's start this evening by settling back into our chairs, settling down into our bodies, and just becoming aware of what it feels like to be alive tonight. And you might like to close your eyes for this exercise and take a very deep breath in. And then a beautiful, beautiful long breath out. Just let it all go. Let all the concerns, all the activities of the day go. Take a second very deep breath in. And a lovely long breath out, just letting it all go. Just center yourselves in the here and now. Just withdrawing your mind from all other times and all other places. And just becoming aware, if you can, of the stillness within your body right now. Just notice where your hands are resting, and just notice the stillness in your hands. Notice where your feet are resting, and notice the stillness in your feet. Become aware of your forehead. Become aware of the stillness within your face, letting go of any tension. Relax your neck and your shoulders. Relax your arms and your legs. And relax your torso. Take another very deep breath in, blowing your tummy up like a big ball this time. And a very long releasing breath out, and just sink down deeper into your physical body. Feel the chair under your bum supporting your body. Feel the backrest supporting your back. Feel your body heavy but floating in this moment. Let's bring our attention to the ears, becoming aware of everything we can hear in this moment. And listen very closely and see if you can pick up the beating of your heart in your eardrums right now. Every time your heart beats, it pushes the pressure wave through your eardrums. And if you listen very carefully, you can pick that up. And as you listen in this way, become aware of the stillness within you that listens. The quiet space of presence that is aware of the chair you're sitting on, that's aware of the hands and the feet and the body and the forehead. The quiet awareness of presence within you that listens. Now let's use the power of imagination if we can. We all had a very vivid imagination when we were children, and some of us as adults have let go of that ability to visualize. And if you have let go of that ability, don't worry. Just do your best. And visualize what it would be like right now to be seated on a log in a forest, in a beautiful, calm, peaceful forest. You're sitting on the log and you can hear the nature sounds around you. Just use your imagination. Maybe you can hear some birds. Maybe you can hear the murmur of a stream or a river. Maybe you can smell the richness of the earth. Using your imagination, maybe you can see little flowers, maybe little ferns, maybe the trunks of big trees. If you look at the trunks, you can probably see the bark, the beautiful shapes in the bark. And if you look up in your imagination, possibly you can see the branches, and maybe even leaves. And beyond that, maybe you can even see some sky, some blue sky. And you breathe in this beautiful, clean forest air into your lungs, and you're aware of that smell as it comes into you, and the presence of peace in this moment. Nature has a stillness within it. Even when a bird is flying, underneath that flight there is a stillness. In the trunks of the trees there is a stillness. In the gurgling of the river or stream there is a stillness. There is a presence. Even in the leaves, as they might move slightly in the breeze, there is a stillness that underlies all movement. And as you sit on this log in your imagination, you connect the stillness within you with the stillness within nature. And you realize that stillness is singular, it's one. And the stillness within you is the stillness within nature. And you realize that that stillness that you perceive in nature is your true nature. And you feel relaxed and you feel peaceful and you feel at ease. Giving thanks to the power of imagination and to this beautiful natural scene that you are surrounded with. You take a very deep breath in, filling your lungs with this beautiful, fresh, clean, still air. And you let it go. You bring your awareness back to your physical body sitting where you are tonight. And you say, thank you for the presence that brought you here. Thank you to the community that gathers here on a Sunday night in this satsang. Thank you for the stillness that we share in our hearts. We are so loved and so blessed. Take another deep breath in, much deeper than the others, and a beautiful, long, long, relaxing breath out. Sigh it all out. And gently, when you're ready, you may open your eyes once more. And just notice the stillness in the space that you occupy right now. Notice the stillness. Thank you for being with us tonight. Welcome. Hello to you all. Hello,
Hi,
Cecilia. Hello, Sonia.
Hi, everyone.
Hi. Let us know where you're from, and if you have any questions or comments, anything to add to the conversation, let us know in the comments box. And thank you for all the hearts that we're getting.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We love getting the hearts.
They're lovely, hey? Makes us feel like we're loved.
Yeah. Thank you and welcome. So do we have any Astro update for tonight?
Well, sort of not. There's not a lot. There's a new moon coming up next Saturday. It's coming Saturday, and the sun moves into Virgo on the 23rd, which is about healing.
But we just moved into Leo.
Yeah, it's a whole month gone by.
My goodness me. Doesn't time fly when you're having fun?
Yeah. So we're moving into Virgo season, which is really about healing. It's about detoxing. It's about clearing out. It's about connecting with what we need and what we don't need. Letting go of what we don't need so that we can heal and bring ourselves back into healing. So that's going to be the theme for the next while. So I'd say for the next week is just to maybe do a clear out, drink more water, get out into nature, which we're going to be talking about tonight as well, and just bring back into balance, because there's a lot of imbalance, and healing really is balance. If you look at what healing is, it's bringing things back into balance. And that brings me to mention our retreat in Hogsback.
Yes.
We are going to be running a retreat, John and I.
Looking forward to that.
23rd of September, which is the day of the equinox, spring equinox, which is a very, very powerful day, because it's the day when the days and nights are the same length, and it's a balancing point between seasons. So it's the onset of spring. It's a very powerful day, and so we're starting on that day. And the theme of the workshop and the retreat is bringing balance, bringing ourselves back into balance, integrating the masculine and the feminine, the doing, the being. I'm going to talk a bit about that tonight, because that is really what healing is. And so we'll have a chance to do all of that in the most amazing place called Hogsback.
Yeah, and those of you who've been to Hogsback, you know how special it is, and those who haven't been yet to Hogsback, you've got something to look forward to. Hogsback is the most special place on earth. I've travelled quite a lot in my lifetime, and there's nothing that beats that energy in Hogsback. Beautiful. Talk about forests and nature and waterfalls, and they say it inspired Tolkien to write Lord of the Rings. Yeah. So whether that's true or not, I'm not too sure, but it is really a magical, beautiful place. And we have this 4.5 day retreat coming up there, 23rd of September to the 27th. Yeah, we just opened bookings for that. It's not a big retreat. We don't allow too many people on it. And so if you want to get in, just let us know. You can email us at awake@journeysofAwakening.com, or give us some an indication in the comments box, and we'll get back to you with details of that retreat. And it's all on our website anyway.
Or you can go to the website, journeysofAwakening.com.
journeysofAwakening.com.
And we're doing a lot of nature, sitting in nature, connecting with nature, integrating nature. Spring in Hogsback is beautiful because the flowers come out, so it's exceptionally beautiful.
Yeah, it is.
And we'll be doing some art as well, so connecting in with that creative self of ours.
Yeah, and those of you who are in the Northern Hemisphere, I know it's going into autumn, but why don't you come out to South Africa and experience our spring and that beautiful, beautiful balancing energy.
That's exquisite.
Yeah.
Anyway, but we're going to talk about that a little bit tonight, is balancing. Because really when you think about healing, or you think about, if you just look at physical health, just physical health, without all the other elements, the spiritual, the emotional, all of the other sides of it, the mental, if you just look at physical health, when we are ill, there's usually an imbalance. Something's gone out of balance to create dis-ease, unbalance. Don't think there's such a word as unbalance, but that's what it is. So how do we get ourselves back into balance? Because that's the theme for the next few months. So in this crazy, crazy world that we're living in, we need those tools. We need to know how to bring us back.
Yeah, and I think all disease is exactly that. It's dis-ease. Ease is in the present moment, and dis-ease is when we're out of balance. And the illnesses that we experience when we're out of balance are not there to punish us. I think that is a very unhelpful way to look at illness. Rather look at illness as your guide and your helper to bring you back into balance again, to clear all those thought patterns that created the imbalance and to bring you back into balance. And that is the true nature of healing. Michelle mentioned that the one level of healing is the physical healing, and I see that as the surface. The surface of healing. And yeah, it concerns us a lot as human meat suits. We want our body to be in a good state of health, and that really does concern us. But underlying that is the field of mind and the field of energy. And as we know from the field of quantum physics, that energy informs matter. So if there's an imbalance in the field of energy, then there's going to be an imbalance filtering into the physical reality, the physical bodies that we hold. And if we really want to heal, then we have to deal with those underlying imbalances that are in our emotional field and in our thought field, in the energy field around us. And dis-ease is an opportunity to go deeper into that and to find that which needs to be balanced. And the word healing in my mind is to make whole again, to bring back to wholeness. And what is your wholeness? Well, your wholeness is what we discussed or what we entered into in the opening meditation. It is stillness, it is presence, and it is love. That's the still point within us. That's the point of balance within us. So healing is ultimately can be thought of as coming back to love, coming back to love.
Coming back to who we really are, actually. So becoming whole again. Yeah. That is what healing is.
Yeah.
And the thing is, with a lot of, if we are ill or if we have issues with our bodies, we tend to get a little bit irritated because our body can't do this or it's doing this and it shouldn't do that, and what are we going to do about that? And then that adds to the imbalance because the anxiety adds, it feeds into it. And if we could see our bodies almost like if you are in a car and your pilot light comes on, a little red light comes on, it's a flashing light in your car. Generally, we'll actually take the car to the garage and say, what's this flashing light? There's something wrong here. Ignoring that flashing light, but putting a piece of tape over it isn't a good idea because the car's probably going to break down. But we do that with our bodies. We ignore the symptoms that our bodies are actually giving us.
The warning lights.
And the warning lights, and often they're very symbolic, It could be a heart issue. So what in your heart is closed, or where are you not expressing, where you're not breathing enough, where you're not circulating oxygen enough, where you're not living a full life enough. So to look at dis-ease or look at illness at a symbolic level as well, because it's all helping us to actually become whole, even illness. And very often we look at illness as a terrible thing, which it's not an easy thing at all. Illness and pain are not easy. but they're generally telling us that something's out of whack.
Yeah.
And then we can actually attend to what is out of whack.
Yeah. And just a little warning there regarding when we notice, you can take this and you can say, well, okay, I have this particular ailment. Now I want to know what is out of whack. So, we spend an awful lot of time thinking about it and trying to figure it out in our heads. And sometimes what is out of whack might not be within any ability to understand or remember it. It might come from yonks ago. It might be something to do with family history. It can be what they talk about, ancestral energy being out of balance. And there's no ways one can figure that out with the rational mind. So in recognizing that, yes, there is something out of balance, and then the next step is to drop the need to understand what that is, but rather work on the solution to healing. And what is the solution to healing? Well, there's a bit of a key in that, in the title for tonight. What's the title for tonight?
One of them is nature, for sure.
Yeah, the true nature of healing. And so connecting with nature is such a powerful medicine for healing any ailment, and for many different reasons. I mean, the one reason is that nature is always present, and there is a stillness in nature. And when we can see it and hear it and perceive it, we automatically become quieter and more balanced within us. But nature also has a lot of other things to offer us. For example, grounding.
Yeah, grounding's amazing. I mean, it's one of the most incredible ways of removing inflammation and all of that. But I think in terms of nature, we are nature. We are not separate from nature. We're made up of the same substance as nature. Yeah. So we are not separate from the trees and the plants and the grass and the lakes and the sky. And once we actually know that, the more time that we actually spend in nature, the more you realize that we are not separate from it. In fact, there's a symbiosis that happens in nature between us and nature. So when we connect with nature, we are naturally rebalancing ourselves, because we're connecting with the vibration that is actually our vibration. And in our busy lives, and that we move out of that, because we move into doing, or we move into not enough activity, we move into extremes, and we bring ourselves out of balance. So the minute you step into pure nature, nature will actually heal you. It's almost like nature's waiting for you to actually just arrive so she can hold you. And so I would say, for me, it's the most healing thing that one can ever do, is just spend time being in nature without having to do something, without having to get to a certain point on your journey in nature, or without having to get fit, or without having to see how many birds you can see, to just be in nature, to just walk in nature, sit in nature, seep it in, stop and look at a flower, smell it, feel the earth, feel the wind, feel the sun. That the nature heals because we are part of it. We're energetic. We're not separate from anything. So when we see that and we can feel that, we allow nature in to actually heal us.
Yeah, and part of that is, as you're saying there, that part of what drives disease is the striving to always get somewhere in the future.
Yeah.
And that robs us of presence. And the word presence and the word life are one and the same. So if we continually project our consciousness, which is the most powerful creative force there is, into time, into past or into future, we rob the body of life, of presence. And the body can operate like a battery for a certain amount of time with a disconnection from its source. But after a while it runs down, and the cells in the body become disempowered, under-energized, and that's when disease comes in. So by reconnecting with nature, nature is presence, and we re-energize the body with that substance called life. And that is such an amazing healing balm. It really is. And also I wanted to mention, yes, that our bodies are mostly made up of bacteria, believe it or not. I mean, the very fact that we can absorb food, it comes from the bacteria in our gut. And I think the figures are like 98% of all biomass on Earth is bacterial in nature. So we have an abundance of bacteria in our body. Now, bacteria are highly intelligent, and when you sit in nature or commune with nature, there is a communication between the bacteria in your body and the bacteria in the natural environment. And you say, well, how do they communicate? Well, they might communicate through fields of energy, which I'm pretty sure they do. But even every time you breathe out 10 to the power of 22 million atoms, for example. So you're breathing out a huge amount of atoms. Those molecules are going into the natural environment, and you're breathing in new oxygen into your body and new bacteria into your body. And there is a communication of healing in that particular environment. So even by just spending a fair amount of time every day in nature, your body's bacteria or your biome in your gut biome will start to go back into balance, into homeostasis. A lot of disease, in fact, I was reading something last night on heart disease. Heart disease was thought to, well, the current model which we have bought into is that it's caused obviously by plaque in the arterial system. And in fact, there's another theory which seems to make a lot of sense, and that is that what they found is that when people have a heart attack, generally it's not in the area where there's a restriction in the arteries, it's in some other part of the heart. Because the natural intelligence of the heart is, if there is a restriction, they put capillaries around that section, they bypass it. There's a natural bypass going on in the heart all the time. But what they find that the biggest cause, the biggest direct cause of heart disease is being out of balance between the parasympathetic and the sympathetic nervous system. Now, the sympathetic nervous system is like the accelerator in a car. It's go, 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 go. Go where? Go into time, go into future, do more. And the parasympathetic nervous system is the coming back into being. It's the relaxation response. So the sympathetic is the action response. It's driven by adrenaline. And when we come back into the parasympathetic, it's the relaxation response. And our society has far too much doing and not enough being. And they say that puts certain chemicals out of balance in the heart. Because when you are in the sympathetic nervous system, the stressed fight or flight, the blood flow goes to your outer limbs for strength. That actually robs the visceral of the body with blood supply. So by coming back and sitting in nature and being in presence, you activate the parasympathetic nervous system, and that calms us down and rebuilds and repairs the body's internal systems.
And then you can heal, because you cannot heal if you're in that sympathetic response. There's no way you can. And I mean, I think I remember there was a study done years ago where they said that the most common date and day and time for people to have heart attacks was at 9 o'clock on a Monday morning. You know, you get to work, you've just been in traffic, and now you've got the week ahead of you, and there's an increase in stress.
A lot of stress, yeah.
So how do we balance the stress? Because all of us live busy lives. So how do we do that? How do we actually bring ourselves back into balance? And nature's definitely one of them. It's not the only one, but it's definitely one of them. And that can mean, you know, if you can't get out into a forest, like we went for a walk yesterday in Newlands Forest, to actually just get outside, take your shoes off, lie on the grass if you've got a little patch of grass, get the sun into you, get the grounding into you. It's incredible, the effects, the health effects of it. I mean, for me, when I go into nature, I immediately just feel my whole system settling down, and that parasympathetic nervous system kicking in, and the mind settling, quietening down. It really does just balance you. So yeah, so I think it's vital, especially now that I'm finding that it's vital. It's not anymore a nice to.
Yeah.
It's no, I have to do that.
Yeah.
I have to get out, even if you just go for a walk. But get out into fresh air, breathe, see, try not to be in the doing mode when you're doing it. Because we often go walking, we see people with their headphones in and they're listening to stuff, and that's okay, but you're not actually connecting with nature. You've got something else going on in your head, and you're not actually bringing yourself into alignment with the vibration that is you, because you are that. You are the vibration of nature. We vibrate at that level of Mother Earth. So she's ready to heal us.
You also see people walking and running in nature, and they're looking at their watch and they're timing it, and it's all about a goal. It's to get somewhere, to get the time or whatever. And that is not conducive to healing. Striving to achieve goals brings up the sympathetic nervous system, not the parasympathetic nervous system.
So it's fine, go exercising, that's perfect, but then also find some time to just be in nature.
Yeah.
So there's nothing wrong with exercising outside. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
It's amazing. But find time to actually just be as well, just to sit, just to look at that river or that plant or whatever it is that brings you into balance, which is healing.
Yeah. And if you think about it, that our body thrives on oxygen, and there are studies coming out now which shows us that EMF pollution reduces the amount of oxygen in the body. And when you're inside and when you're at your desk and when you're surrounded by Wi-Fi or cell phone towers, your body is being depleted. It's not that you're depleted of oxygen, you're depleted from the body's ability to transport that oxygen around the body, because apparently it interferes with the hemoglobin, which is the transportation mechanism for oxygen around the body. So when you get out to nature, there's usually a lessening in EMFs. So, if you get into, a beautiful forest, the leaves block EMF. So that's another reason to get to nature, because what are the leaves producing during the day? They're producing oxygen, which is what we need. So you're reducing the EMFs, you're increasing the body's ability to absorb oxygen, and the trees are so lovingly giving you oxygen. There's this story going around about increase in carbon being so bad for the earth. And no, it isn't, because what does all the green stuff on planet Earth need? Is carbon dioxide. It's a food for them. So as we increase carbon dioxide levels, so the greenness of the planet increases. And as it increases, it gives us more oxygen. It's a very healing process, which has been completely overlooked by certain scientists. But in fact, they need carbon dioxide. We need oxygen. And that process is greatly enhanced when we are in nature, reducing the EMFs and increasing our connection with the byproduct of what the plants are giving us, which is oxygen. And another thing which we haven't spoken about is the importance of sunlight. I mean, sunlight is nature. It comes from nature.
Yes,
and in fact, sunlight is healing. The true healing of so many illnesses comes from the sun.
Yeah.
It's vitamin D. It's absolutely number
It's
one.
all there for us, actually. If you think about it, the water, the vitamin D from the sun, and everything else that the sun gives us. The ground, I mean, that's what comes from our earth. And air. Without air, we can't breathe. So it's the elements.
Yeah,
we are part of them. We're not separate from them. They are in us, and we are in each particle, each molecule of everything that we look at. So again, it's that reminder that we are not separate, and we're energetic, and we're connected to everything. And that's why we're connected to the seasons, and we can feel a new moon, we can feel the full moon, and we can actually, it's cyclical. We are cyclical. Women are a little bit more cyclical than men, because we go through a whole cycle in a month. But we're cyclical, like nature. So when we tune in to nature and we observe her cycles, we observe her seasons, we observe the new moon and the full moon, that we are tuning into the rhythm. And with our lives that we have now, which are largely spent behind screens and behind phones, we are losing touch more and more with the natural rhythms. If you go and live on a farm without any EMFs, we went on a farm last week in the middle of nowhere. I mean, it took an hour and a half. We were an hour and a half away from any signal at all. It was fantastic. And the cleanness of that air without any kind of electromagnetic fields at all was astounding, because it was crisp and clear. And that gives you a real chance to actually just reboot and rebalance, because you're actually giving yourself a break away from it. So the more that we actually get glued to screens, the less we're communing with nature, the less we're feeling her rhythms. You know, if you think about the olden days, our grandparents, they would go to bed. You know, they would have their dinner and they'd go to bed when it got dark. And they would rise when the sun rose. And they would be in the rhythm of nature, which is why we heal when we're in nature, because we get back into rhythm. And our rhythms have gone haywire because of all the artificial light and the screen time that we have. So we have to balance it if we want to be whole and we want to be healed.
And that's another reason to come on retreat with us in September, because that is getting back into the rhythm of nature, the cycles, the 4 seasons that we have. And the 23rd of September is the doorway, the portal back into wonderful spring again, into rebirth. And it's a balancing time. So to take a little bit of time off, to take 4 or 5 days off over the equinox is highly recommended for healing and to honor those seasons. All traditional cultures did that. They honored the change in seasons with sacred ceremonies and rituals that they had. The Western world, we ignore those. It's just another day on the calendar to do.
In fact, if you observe them in many sectors, people think you're nuts, observing the solstice or the equinox or the
full moon.
And it's so natural. It's where we come from. And we've lost touch with it. So it's to get back into touch with that. Just reconnect with nature. It's definitely not the be all and end all of everything, but it's a huge place to start for healing.
It as Michelle said earlier, it is our true nature. Nature is our true nature. And it's not that the form of the tree is our true nature, obviously not. But the essence of the tree is our true essence as well. The essence of the tree is that stillness. And it's our true nature as well. The essence of a tree is life. That is our true nature. Life and presence are one and the same, as I said earlier. And if we can clear our minds, which is really the only thing that blocks us from our true nature, we find that point of balance, that point of healing. And the body knows how to heal. The body can go back into healing as long as we get out of the way and allow that natural balance within us to come back into the fore. So it's balancing that, as we said earlier, the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. We bring those into balance, and that's absolutely vital. And one of the things which I learned many years ago was the breathing through your nostrils while exercising brings the body back into balance, and it releases nitric oxide. And that is NO, that's NO. And that is so beneficial for the body. We talked about the heart. It heals the heart, So there's another reason to go into nature and breathe through your nose while you're in nature, while you're walking.
Do it consciously. So don't just walk. So let me have a quick walk in nature. No, you're missing the point. I'm going to just go and walk in nature. And I'm just going to breathe. And I'm going to see. And I'm going to feel. And what happens also, it's a little bit like the eureka moment with what's his name? It stepped out of, he got into the bath or whatever, and he had his big moment of the eureka moment. It's because we actually slow the mind down. The busy mind starts to actually retreat. And in those moments, the crystal clarity comes
downloads.
in. I get downloads when I go into nature.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I can be sort of trying to think of a concept or something that I might be doing. And when I go into nature and I clear my mind, as Claire said there, it's just as important as meditation time. Those insights drop in. The answers drop in. And I believe that nature actually helps give them to us. That's what I believe.
Yeah.
So I believe by going into nature and saying, well, I'm not sure about this, you're getting a response from nature. I don't know how I'm going to, what might be causing this illness or this disease. What do I need to do? Nature will often give you that answer if you listen. You just got to listen, though.
Yeah.
And to listen, you've got to be quiet.
Yeah.
So it's reconnecting with that.
Yeah.
And that's going to be a theme for the next two months energetically.
Yeah. And we'll do that reconnecting in Hogsback on our retreat there, the spring equinox retreat. And if you think back a few hundred years ago, there were a lot of people dedicated to listening to nature. They were shamans, they were branded as witches, and they were burnt.
Yep.
And that was so sad because we lost a huge body of knowledge that they had acquired, which basically set us up for the pharmaceutical world that we live in today. But that knowledge can be rekindled. It can be rekindled by us going into nature and being still. You don't have to have any academic training to hear nature. Just a stillness. Get our mind out of the way. Become quiet. Become still. And suddenly, like Archimedes, that suddenly there's a drop in. There's a picture. And that type of information doesn't come in thought. It's what I say. It's the awareness prior to the thought. It's the thought before the thought. And then suddenly it's just an awareness. Oh. And sometimes it's quite out of context to what you were particularly focused on. But that's real gold. That's real intuitive information that comes in those so-called eureka moments, because that's when the mind is out of the way. And this intelligence called life, which is so rich in a natural environment, is able to talk directly to us. It talks to us not in words, not in thoughts, but in direct communication. Normally comes in whole pictures, pictograms. That's normally the way of communication or feelings or knowing in that. So there are so many advantages to being in nature, and to saying every week I will dedicate so much time to reconnecting to nature. We are not human in our core. We're not human doings. We are human beings. Spend some time, yes, doing is necessary, but so is being. In fact, being is more necessary than doing. So to dedicate and to honor the value of nature in our healing, in our health, in our coming back to love, coming back to presence. Whatever we honor and whatever we value, we pay attention to.
Yeah, and I think if you pay attention to reconnecting with nature, you're reconnecting with your body as well, because our body and nature is not separate. And many of us have lost touch with our own bodies. So we don't know what our bodies are telling us. We don't know that there's a big warning sign until we actually start to listen. We go, I've got a headache. Or I've got a pain over here. That's interesting. And then just holding a space for that, like you would hold a space for feelings, which we often talk about, because feeling is healing as well. So just holding a space for that pain and seeing what arises when you actually say, I'm holding a space for that. I wonder what this could be. You don't have to overthink it. You don't have to logically know what it is. But there might just be a little insight. And it could be something as simple as, you need to drink more water. You need more sunshine. It could be something as simple as that.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily complex. In fact, it usually isn't. But it's to listen, to put ourselves into a state to listen. And so I think a lot of us now, with what's happened over the last 2 years, a lot of us work from home, not everybody. But if you have an opportunity of actually going outside in the middle of the day and having your breaks outside, it's really good thing. In fact, I often look at smokers who go outside and have a smoke. And I've often spoken to a couple of friends of mine. And I know what it is. It's apart from the addiction to nicotine, which is obviously a thing as well. It's often the break in your day.
Excuse.
Where you are going outside and you're actually connecting away from that. You're becoming present.
Yeah.
And no, it's not healthy. But the act of actually going outside is. The act of actually removing yourself from the stressful situation. So if you're in a situation at work and it's stressful, take yourself out of the situation just for 5 minutes and just go and stand in the sun. I used to do that when I worked in corporate thing. I used to go outside and I just used to stand in the sun or sit on the grass. We had an office that had grass, fortunately. So to remove yourself from the stress, and that then rebalances that parasympathetic nervous system, because our sympathetic nervous systems are running the show in most cases.
Yeah, the doing.
The doing.
Stress, people quite often think that if I am stressed, well, I'm really valuable because I'm stressed. It means I'm important. And no, it doesn't mean that. It means that you're actually mad. You're insane. Sanity is balance. Sanity is presence. You're never more sane than when you are present. And stress is being here, but thinking you need to be over there. You ought to be over there. And the distance between where you are in presence and where your mind thinks you ought to be, that distance is stress. So if you can remember that stress is insanity and ill health, and presence is sanity and health and ease. And then you mentioned also there about maybe nature giving us the insight that we need water. And water comes from nature.
Yeah.
And is so important in our healing process. Many people are dehydrated. And if you can at all, try and only drink spring water, clean spring water. The air is so polluted now. They were talking, I was listening to a program on the product called glyphosate, and they were saying in America, even if they stopped the use of all glyphosate now, it would take 50 years to clear it from the atmosphere. So even the rain coming down is polluted with all sorts of toxins. But when you have access to spring water that's coming out of the ground, it's been filtered through Mother Earth. And we're so lucky to live in Cape Town because we have just so many natural springs. And Michelle mentioned yesterday we went for a lovely walk in Newlands Forest, and we drank several times from the beautiful streams there. It's just such beautiful water. And we get all our drinking water from a natural spring just
very important.
A few hundred yards from us up the road here. And it is important to have really good natural water that hasn't gone through sewage plants and processed plants and right angles and pipes, and honor your body with drinking
proper
beautiful water.
And funny
it
enough,
comes from nature.
When you drink really good water, you don't really want to drink anything else.
Yeah.
You don't really want to put anything in the water.
No,
it's enough.
I was just thinking.
To just drink the water.
I was just thinking of Aurora, the grandchild. Yeah. She won't drink anything except mountain water. Yeah. She'll check, is that mountain water? Yeah. Because she doesn't like the taste of it. She's never drunk anything else. She's only ever drunk mountain water. Yeah.
So just paying attention to what we need, and getting back as much as we can to the natural foods, natural water, staying away from processed stuff as much as we can. Yes, you are going to do it sometimes. But just realizing what we're doing, So if you're drinking a lot of coffee, you're dehydrating. You're going to need to drink a lot of water to actually balance it.
Yeah.
And the more tired we get, the more many people get into that cycle of I need another cup of coffee to keep me going. And it's a vicious cycle. You can't sleep at night, then you take a sleeping pill. That's how the whole cycle starts. So it's just to be more aware, more cognizant of our bodies and what our body's wisdom is telling us. Our bodies tell us.
Yeah.
Your body will tell you when you need more rest. It'll tell you when you need more sleep. It'll tell you when you shouldn't be eating that, because if that doesn't work for you. Yeah. That for some reason puts you out of balance. Might not put somebody else out. If your skin's coming out in rashes, it means that there's something out of balance inside you. So it's just to really reconnect. It's to reconnect with nature and reconnect with our own bodies. Because as we connect with nature, we are connecting with our bodies.
Yeah. And the true nature of healing is balance. And the only time and the only place that you can find balance is in the present moment. The more presence you give to your body, the more you bring the body back into balance, back into healing. You allow the natural, incredible intelligence of life to start doing its magic within your body. Yeah.
Oh.
So, another plug. Our retreat next month is all about balance, all about balancing the yin and the yang, the male energy and the female energy. And we're going to give you good food there as well, really good food. Thank you. So you're going to lead us out, and then we've got an affirmation for you. We don't know which one yet, but we'll give you an appropriate affirmation.
Maybe I should pick one before, and then I can say it at the end.
Okay. Do you want to pick one now?
Yep. Oh,
that's
a pretty
nice.
good one.
That's a nice card.
All right, let's just close our eyes and take a beautiful deep belly breath in, all the way in. So blowing your belly up, out on the in breath and bringing that breath all the way in to the top of your chest. And then releasing, 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 releasing all the way out, all your breath out. Remembering that when we are balancing the parasympathetic nervous system, the way to do that is to breathe out for longer than you breathe in. So let's breathe in for 4 and breathe out for 6. Blow all the breath out. If you like, you can blow through your mouth or your nose. And then breathing in again for 4. And breathe all that air out on the out breath. Breathe out longer. And as you breathe out, allow your body to soften. Keep breathing like that. 4 in. And you might even extend your out breath to 7 or 8. And feel yourself just dropping into presence. Dropping out of the busy mind. Into this place of peace. And just listen to your breath as it starts to breathe in and as you release the breath. See if you can hear your breath. Really listen. See if you can listen even more deeply to the sound of your own heart beating. Or just get a sense of your own heartbeat. Just connecting with what you can feel in your body now. Just noticing your body sitting or lying down, where your skin touches the fabric of the clothes or the blanket, the surface that you're resting on. Getting a sense of how your body feels in this moment. Are there any areas that are a little bit tight or possibly painful? And if so, just breathe into that area as if you're sending your life force and your breath right into that area, and then release. See if you can relax that area. There's no resistance. There's just openness. If you have any particular dis-ease that you're aware of, take your attention and focus it in on that area, wherever it is. Just focus your loving attention into that area. Breathe your love into that area of your body. You might find that you feel that that area of your body needs a color. What color might it need? Is it a cool color? Is it a warm color? Just send that light color energy right into any areas in your body. It might need it. Bring your focus now to what you can see behind your eyes. You might see color, you might see pictures, you might just see nothing particular. So just becoming aware of what you can see. What you can taste in this moment. And with each out breath, relaxing more and more, bringing yourself into the now, more and more. Relaxing your hands, connecting with your hands. Full focus on your hands. And notice that when there's full focus on your hands, you might sense a tingling or a warmth. Noticing that where your attention goes, energy flows. Keep focusing on your hands. And allow the energy to build in your hands. And you could even take that energy in that hand and place it on a part of your body that you feel needs healing. Feel yourself to be connected to the earth beneath you. This beautiful, beautiful earth that supports and nourishes us, holds us, provides nutrients and nourishment. Connect with the water that rains from the sky, fills our streams and our springs and our bodies, knowing that we are totally connected to the water on this planet. Connecting to the sunshine. You might even visualize the sun shining in to your solar plexus in your heart, arms open, sun shining in, igniting, nourishing us so that we can grow and flourish. And the air that we breathe, we're not separate from that. Breathing in that air that we breathe with consciousness that each breath is the breath of life. And feeling the gratitude for the earth, the water, the air, the sun. Feeling ourselves connected to all of it. Harmonizing with all of it. Just feel the peace inside you right now. And feel the gratitude in your heart, just for this moment. And our affirmation for the week is: thank you for my healing. I am healed. I am whole. Thank you for my healing. I am healed. I am whole. And take a gentle breath in and out. Check in with how you feel in this moment before you open your eyes. And let us know in the comments how you feel.
Thank you. Wasn't that beautiful? Don't you feel more balanced now, more centered? And I absolutely guarantee you there's a greater level of healing in the body right now than when you're stressed. That was really beautiful.
Good.
Thank you for being with us tonight. And if you want details on our retreat, it's actually below on our journeys page. So have a look and maybe you'll be with us. Thank you. And we look forward to catching up with you next Sunday night for Sunday Night Satsang with John and Michelle.
Thanks everyone. Thanks for joining us.
Love you all.
Have a good week.